On 29th July 2023, Leongatha, Victoria, a quiet small town about 135 kilometers southeast of Melbourne, experienced an extremely serious tragedy. On that day, 4 elderly people received an invitation to lunch at the home of their former daughter-in-law, a woman they had known and trusted for many years. They arrived, as family members often do, without suspicion, without any guard up, just a normal afternoon with the woman they had trusted for years. They sat down and enjoyed the Beef Wellington made by the daughter-in-law, each with their own separate portion, carefully prepared. None of them knew or thought that it would be the final meal of their lives. The woman did not eat with them. She told them she was on a diet. The next day, all 4 were admitted to hospital at the same time with symptoms no one could explain. 3 of them never left the hospital again. And the woman who cooked that meal remained healthy, kept checking on everyone's health, and even attended their funeral. This is the story of Erin Patterson, and about the lunch on 29 July 2023 that all of Australia and the world will never forget. G'day everyone. Welcome to Crime Australia, HT. Today our channel will tell you about one of the most shocking cases in modern Australian history. A case where the trial was broadcast live nationwide and attracted the attention of millions of people around the world. Before we begin, I would like to hear your thoughts. If, during the video, you feel any part lacks detail, is unclear, or if there is anything I missed, or if my reading voice needs improvement or could be more engaging, please leave a comment below. Your feedback helps the channel improve every day, and your opinion is very important to me. I sincerely thank you. Now, let us explore the story of Erin Patterson together, and I shall see you soon. On 30th July 2023, one day after the meal at Erin Patterson's home in Leongatha, the 4 people who attended yesterday's lunch began experiencing severe digestive symptoms. All required immediate hospitalization. This was unusual. 4 people at the same time with the same symptoms after the same meal at the same location. Doctors began investigating the cause. The families of those hospitalized immediately reported the meal at Erin Patterson's home to the authorities. Victoria Police were notified and commenced an investigation. In the following days, the condition of the patients deteriorated rapidly. Don Patterson and Gail Patterson, the parents of Erin's former husband, passed away in hospital. Heather Wilkinson, the aunt of the former husband, also could not survive. Only Ian Wilkinson, the uncle of the former husband, was the sole person who still had a chance to be saved. Victoria Police acted immediately, investigating the cause that led to 4 people being hospitalized after a meal at the same location. From the early days of the investigation, Victoria Police raised an important question. Why 4 people who ate the same meal became gravely ill, while the person who prepared the meal remained completely healthy? The detail that Erin Patterson did not eat the Beef Wellington with them, and she said she was on a diet. This was the first detail that investigators noticed. Police conducted a search of Erin's home in Leongatha, collecting remaining food samples, cooking utensils, and related items. Everything in the kitchen, where the meal was prepared, was documented and preserved as evidence. Police also noted an unusual detail. After the victims were hospitalized, Erin kept contacting Simon, her former husband, to ask about the health status of his parents and relatives. She expressed worry and grief. But behind all of that, investigators began to see inconsistencies. Doctors began taking test samples from the patients. At the same time, police collected remaining food samples from the meal at Erin Patterson's home to send for analysis. The testing process took place while the condition of the patients deteriorated rapidly, and the returned results confirmed what no one wanted to hear. Test results from the patients and from the remaining food samples confirmed what doctors had suspected earlier. The victims had been exposed to death cap mushrooms, scientific name Amanita phalloides, one of the most poisonous mushrooms in the world. Even a small amount of death cap mushroom is enough to cause death. Its toxin attacks the liver and kidneys, leading to organ failure and death within days or weeks, if not treated promptly. And even with treatment, the mortality rate remains very high. Forensic results confirmed all 3 deceased died from liver failure and multi-organ failure caused by the toxin of the Amanita mushroom. This was no ordinary accident. Death cap mushrooms are not the kind people accidentally confuse when buying at the market. They have distinctive features and have been widely warned about in Australia for decades, especially in forested areas in Victoria, where this type of mushroom grows very commonly and is easy to find. The central core of the entire investigation began to form: where those mushrooms came from and who placed them into the meal that day. During the investigation, police extracted search history from Erin's electronic devices and discovered a crucial detail. Search records showed that Erin had researched mushrooms prior to the meal. Purchase records confirmed she had bought a food dehydrator, equipment commonly used to dry mushrooms before cooking. But after that fateful meal, that dehydrator had disappeared. Police searched and located the dehydrator at the local rubbish tip, inside a bin. There is a high probability that Erin attempted to destroy this piece of equipment. This was evidence showing she knew full well what had occurred and was attempting to conceal it. The 3 people who lost their lives in this case were not just names in a file. They still had families and friends waiting for them to return home. Don Patterson and Gail Patterson, a couple of the same age, the parents of Erin's former husband. For 16 years since Erin entered the family, they had treated her like their own daughter. Even though Simon and Erin separated in 2015, Don and Gail maintained a relationship with Erin because of the affection the grandparents held for their grandchildren. Heather Wilkinson, 66 years old, Gail's sister and Simon's aunt. She and her husband Ian had long been close with the Patterson family, attending local church services together, where they and Erin used to meet regularly. All of them accepted Erin's invitation because they trusted her deeply. They came to her house, believing it was an opportunity to mend family relationships after years of distance. But none of them knew that the woman they trusted had prepared everything prior to sending out the invitation. Ian Wilkinson, 68 years old, Heather's husband, was the sole person among the 4 guests that day to survive. After the meal, Ian was hospitalized alongside the other 3 with similar symptoms. He underwent weeks of intensive care, and during that time, he lost his wife, who had lived with him for 44 years. Ian Wilkinson pulled through, and as his health gradually stabilized, he made a decision. He would step forward as a witness at the trial. His testimony before the jury, a man who had just lost his wife and narrowly escaped death, was one of the most heartbreaking and vital moments of the entire trial. Erin Trudy Patterson, born 30th of September 1974, 48 years old at the time of the offense. She lived in Leongatha, a small town where everyone knew each other. She had 2 children with Simon. Erin and Simon married in 2007 and separated in 2015. But for the sake of the children, both maintained contact. Erin kept a relationship with her former husband's family, attending family events and keeping connections with Simon's parents. Those who knew Erin described her as ordinary, with nothing particularly remarkable. No criminal record, no history of violence, nor any prior criminal offenses. But behind that image, investigators gradually uncovered a far more complex story. 29th July 2023 was not the day everything began. To understand this matter, police were compelled to investigate and look back at what had happened months, even years prior. Dispute over child support payments. In late 2022, Simon filed taxes as separated, which automatically triggered the child support system, instead of Simon paying private school fees directly as before. Simon testified in court that Erin was very angry about this change. An increasingly distant relationship. In the 2 years prior to the meal, Erin began distancing herself from her former husband's family. She missed many family events, or attended only briefly, according to testimony from her former husband's brother, Matthew Patterson. Simon declining to attend. The night before the meal, Simon sent a text message declining the invitation, stating he felt uncomfortable coming to Erin's house. Justice Beale later assessed, by 16 July 2023, 2 weeks before the meal, Erin already had the intention to end the lives of everyone invited, including Simon. Simon's non-attendance may have been the very thing that saved his life. This was a detail that the public did not know throughout the trial, because it was suppressed under a court order. Between mid-November 2021 and September 2022, roughly 1 to 2 years before that fateful meal, Simon Patterson was hospitalized 3 times with severe digestive symptoms. On the second occasion, his symptoms were severe enough to induce a coma and require life-saving surgery. A medical expert hired to analyze Simon's medical records later confirmed his symptoms were consistent with ingesting barium carbonate, an ingredient in rat poison. Only after the judge lifted the suppression order following the verdict was this detail released to the public. This raises a major question. If Simon had also been a target previously, then the meal on 29 July 2023 was not an impulsive act. This was an extended plan. Erin's behavior after the meal was one of the elements prosecutors focused on exploiting during the trial. After the victims were hospitalized, Erin repeatedly contacted Simon to inquire about his parents' and relatives' health, while she knew full well the cause that made them ill. When interviewed by police, Erin claimed she had purchased the mushrooms from an Asian grocery shop, not picked them in the wild herself. This was the explanation she maintained for a long time. However, digital evidence did not support that testimony. Records showed Erin had researched mushrooms, purchased a food dehydrator to process mushrooms, and after the event, attempted to destroy the dehydrator by throwing it into a bin at the local tip. The dehydrator was located, and it became one of the most critical pieces of evidence in the case. Erin Patterson was arrested and formally charged. Initially, she faced 5 charges of attempted unlawful killing, including Simon Patterson, who did not attend the meal, but prosecutors asserted was also a target. However, before the trial commenced, the charges relating to Simon were withdrawn due to insufficient evidence within the scope of this trial. Erin stood trial for 3 counts of unlawful killing, relating to Don, Gail, and Heather. 1 count of attempted unlawful killing, relating to Ian Wilkinson. Erin pleaded not guilty. She claimed the deaths of the victims were an accident. She did not know the mushrooms she used were death cap mushrooms. The trial commenced on the 29th April 2025 at the Supreme Court of Victoria in Morwell, lasting 9 weeks with over 50 witnesses. This was a trial broadcast live nationwide, reflecting an unprecedented level of public interest in Australia. The prosecution argued Erin had acted with deliberate premeditation. She researched mushrooms, picked death cap mushrooms herself, processed them using a dehydrator, put them in the meal, and subsequently tried to destroy evidence. She did not eat with her guests because she knew the food contained toxin. The defense argued this was an accident. Erin did not know the mushrooms she used were poisonous. She bought the mushrooms from a market and made a mistake during preparation. Simon Patterson took the stand as a witness, weeping as he recounted the tense relationship with Erin and his decision to decline the invitation. Ian Wilkinson, the sole survivor, testified directly about what happened during the meal and the weeks of treatment that followed. Erin Patterson took the stand in her own defense, remaining in the witness box for 8 days, answering questions from both sides. After all evidence and testimony concluded, the jury retired to the jury room to deliberate. After 6 days of deliberation, the jury returned to the courtroom. On 7 July 2025, the verdict was read out. Erin Patterson was found guilty on all charges, 3 counts of unlawful killing and 1 count of attempted unlawful killing. Inside the courtroom, many stood in silence and wept as the verdict was read. Erin sat in the dock, displaying no clear emotional expression, merely blinking continuously as each verdict was delivered. On 8 September 2025, the sentencing hearing took place at the Supreme Court of Victoria in Melbourne. The sentencing was broadcast live. Outside the court, media crews from all over the world were present. Justice Christopher Beale delivered the sentence. Erin Patterson was sentenced to 3 life sentences for the 3 counts of unlawful killing, 25 years of imprisonment for the count of attempted unlawful killing regarding Ian Wilkinson. All sentences are to be served concurrently, with a minimum non-parole period of 33 years. Erin will be eligible to apply for parole at the earliest in November 2056, when she is 82 years old. Place of detention: Dame Phyllis Frost Centre. Justice Beale stated during sentencing, "Your victims were your relatives by marriage. Furthermore, they had all been good to you and your children over many years. The devastating impact of your crime is not limited to the direct victims. Your crime has brought harm to many people." He assessed Erin's crime as requiring substantial preparation and that she executed a sophisticated cover-up. He classified the case as among the worst category of unlawful killing and attempted unlawful killing. Erin showed no clear emotion throughout the sentencing, keeping her eyes closed or looking straight ahead. In October 2025, less than 2 months after sentence was passed, prosecutors formally lodged an appeal. They contended that the 33-year non-parole period was inadequate and requested the Court of Appeal to consider an increase. Prosecutors argued that the level of planning, the nature of the case, and Erin's lack of remorse warranted a higher non-parole period, or even no possibility of parole. This appeal remains under consideration. The Erin Patterson case raises many questions with no simple answers. The biggest question: why? An official motive was never explained by Erin. She pleaded not guilty and never admitted to what she had done. However, from the evidence and details presented at trial, several factors can be observed. The dispute over child support payments, the anger when Simon filed taxes as separated and altered the payment method for school fees, may have been the starting point. The increasingly distant relationship with her former husband's family, a sense of isolation from a part of life she was once connected to, and the detail regarding Simon being previously poisoned, if correct as assessed by the medical expert, indicates this was not an impulsive decision, but a plan spanning years. The second question: why Simon survived. Simon declined to attend because he felt uncomfortable going to Erin's house. This appeared to be an ordinary decision, yet it was the very decision that saved his life. Had Simon attended, he too would have been served an individual portion of Beef Wellington, and the outcome might have been very different. The third question: did the cover-up backfire? Erin attended the funeral. She inquired after the victim's health. She attempted to destroy evidence, and in court, she sat in the witness box for 8 days, maintaining her stance of innocence. Yet none of those actions altered what the evidence demonstrated, and the jury required only 6 days of deliberation to reach a unanimous verdict. Erin Patterson will not be able to apply for parole before November 2056. She will be 82 years old at that time. Don and Gail Patterson, 70 years old, will never see their grandchildren grow up. Heather Wilkinson, 66 years old, will never return to the husband who lived with her for 44 years. And Ian Wilkinson, the sole survivor, must continue living with the memory of that meal and the loss of his wife. This case leaves 3 questions to consider. First, what you think Erin's true motive was: a dispute over money, accumulated resentment, or something else yet unknown. Second, given what transpired, whether a 33-year non-parole sentence is sufficient, or whether prosecutors are correct in appealing that this sentence does not reflect the severity of the crime. Third, had Simon attended the meal that day, what you think would have occurred? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. Every comment will be read. Lessons. The Erin Patterson case is not a story about a stranger or an evil person appearing out of nowhere. This is a story about a woman whom her former husband's family trusted, and that very trust led them to sit at the dinner table without any suspicion. First lesson: meticulous planning cannot conceal the truth forever. Erin researched, prepared, covered her tracks, and maintained an innocent stance for years. Yet digital evidence, search history, purchase records, the dehydrator in the bin, existed regardless of her attempts to erase traces. In the digital age, traces are nearly impossible to erase completely. Second lesson: trust is a precious thing and needs to be protected. Don, Gail, and Heather came because they trusted Erin. They had no reason to suspect, and that very trust left them vulnerable. This is not a lesson to suspect everyone around us. Rather, it is a reminder that conflicts in intimate relationships, whether family or friends, need to be addressed directly and promptly, rather than allowed to accumulate to a point beyond repair. Third lesson: justice does not arrive automatically. It requires evidence. This case was resolved because police investigated thoroughly, because Ian Wilkinson survived and was willing to testify, and because digital evidence remained after Erin attempted to destroy the equipment. Had any one of those elements been missing, the outcome might have been vastly different. Crime Australia, HT produced this content for information and community educational purposes. All information presented is based on court records and verified media sources. We condemn all acts of violence in any form.